Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching this from. My name is Denise Bellel, and I'm so happy that you're joining us today. My guest today will be Deborah Marcia Rubin, and I will tell you a little bit more about her today. But today I'm really excited to introduce episode number 15 of my It's All Good. Look who's here for a chat series. And the reason why I call that It's All Good, it's very complicated. No, it's not. It's my favorite cup. I know it's backward now, but it's all good. I love this cup, and it's also a way of me sharing how I feel. Like whenever a situation arises, I don't say, "Oh no, that's horrible." I take a step back and say, "It's all good." Because no matter what happened, first of all, if it's in the past, I can't change it. And if it's something that's coming in the future, I can't change it. And the present is a fraction of a second. So it's all good. Regardless of what you do, how you do it, and where you go, you should always think of it as the moment that you are here and now. It's always perfect. And by doing that, what that will do is that will give you more serenity and more peace in your life. Because when you say that it's all good, life is here and now, I can't change what just happened 2 seconds ago, and I cannot predict what's going to happen in 2 seconds. You can only be happy right here, right now. So my guest today is, as I said, is Deborah. So I'm just going to bring Deborah here in a second, and I will introduce her, and then we will have a nice conversation. And I'm really excited to introduce her to you. So hi, Deborah, how are you?
How are you,
Like you were
Denise?
hiding out there in the background.
Yeah. Oh, she comes.
Oh, here she is. And I would like also, as you're watching this, whether it's on replay or live, please just put in the chat hello, and don't be shy to ask questions because we can see your chat. And as we go along, if you have any question, comments, say hi. Feel free to just share with us and participate, because it's always more fun when people are participating.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yes, so the theme of today is power of your breath, on living creativity, vitality, and inner stillness. So Deborah is a certified wellness and breath coach, therapeutic yoga and meditation teacher, speaker, and designer of the clarity process, an intimate exploration of your gift and talents so you can bring them out into the world with a sense of knowing. Deborah loved to educate and coach people about the power of the breath, yoga, meditation, and how they impact your relationship with your body, your mind, your emotion, and spiritual being. So we can be the change we dream to be. I love that. Because there's a wise man that says, be the change you want to see in the world. And there's no way you can want to have something in life but not do it yourself. So welcome, Deborah. I'm super excited to have you here today. So would you like to expand on what I've just said and who you are, where you are, how you came about to do what you're doing now?
Well, thank you very much, Denise. This is so right on because I love the whole idea of serenity and this positive intelligence coaching and bringing out that liveliness in ourselves because we're going through this major change in the world, which we're all recognizing that, and it's become like the new mantra.
Yeah.
There's this, we're going in this new direction. Nobody really knows what's going on. So some people can be very stressed. Some people are kind of cool and calm, and others are just getting on with what they knew and what they know,
Yeah.
because they, like you were saying, and I love what you were saying, is that the present moment is so powerful. You can't do anything with what's just happened, and there's so much richness in where we're going. Is that if we have the mindset that we're kind of afraid, then we kind of cut off. And I love what you say is that when you're stressed, you cut off that stress cuts off, and the saboteur, that element in us that wants to say, no, 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 stay here exactly the way you are. This is fine.
I'll keep you safe, I promise.
Yeah, I
With
promise
stress
you.
and
Meanwhile,
worry,
you're going,
it's almost like they hold you back. So no, stay.
yeah. I don't want to be lonely here without you.
My precious. The Lord of the Ring, right? It's almost like a little saboteur,
And so for me, though, I've been doing yoga since 1973, so that's a few years.
Mhm.
And it's just, yoga has so many levels to it, and the breath is just so intimate to every single thing we do. We
Yeah.
can't do anything
Well,
without our breath. And so if we
Yep.
can use our breath in a way that allows us to be more centered, more present, more energized,
Mhm.
and our breath can affect our health. If
Well,
we're
the thing is, we can go without eating. We could go without water for quite some time,
yeah
but we can't go without breathing. That's the
no
one thing that if you don't breathe for like, what's
no
the record? Maybe let's imagine 5 minutes, which
yeah.
is a long time. So if you couldn't breathe for 6 minutes, you would be dead. So it's kind of
Yeah.
important, that people take that for granted, and they take like very shallow breath, right?
Yes.
They don't even move.
Yeah.
And stress also, and serenity, like one of the things, and you will talk about that, but it's breathing properly. And talk a little bit about that. Like, what is it? Like what do people should be doing when they're, instead of
That's a very good point. Well, so here's an important factor that
Mhm.
that when we're thinking about our breathing functionally all the time, we should be aware that we're actually breathing through our nose as much as we can, and not through our mouth. Now, sometimes we need our mouth to breathe. If something's like you're really in an extreme situation, and
course,
you need to get there, then that would be a situation where you would get your mouth going, because
Yeah.
you're maybe running a marathon and got your top speed there. But on a normal basis, think about your breath, your nose, as having all these qualities to help you and your health and your mind, your body, and your spirit stay in a place of more balance. Because the nose, when we breathe in through our nose, well, it warms the air and it cleans the air. And it's got these little turbinates in there that actually takes the air around and then down into our lower ribs, right? Now, if we breathe through our mouth, the gaping hole, got our mouth open, the cold air comes in, it goes right down in the throat, goes to the upper lungs. So it's cold air, and it's dry air, can dry out your passageway,
And
whereas
it's unfiltered, right?
and is unfiltered. Yes. So when we breathe in through our nose, we're filtering out those little pathogens and those little nasty things that
These
are
little
coming.
nose hair are useful, right?
There's called cilia. And it's
Cilia.
Celia, making my heart. No, it's cleaning my nose.
Yeah, perfect. We'll make a song out of that.
So, and it takes the air down into the oxygen, down into our lower lungs, where actually there's more circulation in the lower lungs, where when we breathe into our mouth and into our upper lungs, it's more of a shallow breath. And for just for a moment,
Let's
now
do
that I've told you about the
Yeah,
breath,
I was
breathe.
experimenting and I see the difference. Let's do it. I'd love
Check in
for
and
people
how
that are
are you
watching
breathing?
also,
Yeah.
like, do it with us. you
Yeah.
know?
So just check into your breath.
Yeah.
Now,
So
everybody's got their
normal.
mouth closed because I've just said it, but just check in with your breath.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you breathing?
Mostly the nose, and it doesn't go that far though when it's unconscious. I found that it stays kind of, I don't know if you can see, but just below, like middle breast, right? It doesn't really go much lower than that when I breathe. Like,
So put your hand here. Put one hand here and one hand on the lower ribs and kind of the part on your upper belly.
yeah.
And then watch your hand. And if the hand goes up and down,
Yeah.
then see if you can pacify that so that the hand stays still and then the air goes down into more of the lower, not more, it goes into the lower ribs, and then relax your belly. And feel your rib cage just expanding out just a little bit and contracting in. In fact, you can exaggerate it.
Yeah.
And feel that the rib cage is going out in front and back, and then bring the air right in, bring the rib cage in and the tummy in towards the spine, and kind of feel that you've got the cinch belt on.
What I feel is, let's say this is my rib cage, right? My ribs.
Yeah.
And what I feel like, because I've done a lot of diaphragm breathing, right? But what I feel when I take the breath and I know it's proper, I feel like my rib cage going like,
yes,
like that, right?
Yes.
Like
yes.
I feel like it's like expanding and then
yes,
back, expanding and closing back. I could put my hands on my rib and feel my hand being expanded.
The whole rib cage.
Right?
Yeah, and you can even put a belt around your lower rib cage. And,
you would notice the difference.
Because the diaphragm is such an important muscle. And if the nose actually is connected more to the lower lungs and the diaphragm. So it's all this connection. Yeah. And if we're not using the diaphragm, it can get tight, especially if we're sitting all day. And so then our breathing does become a little more restricted. Yeah. So we want to be able to have the flexibility in anything we do, because we know that flexibility in the body is also flexibility in the mind and in the emotions and in our whole being. So it all is interconnected. Wow. So look at it from kind of, well, that's interesting. Okay, if I'm really tight, if I'm tight in my muscles and if I'm tight in my abdomen and my diaphragm, then maybe I'm even tight in my attitude, tight in my mind. So when we breathe through our nose, in this case, we were just doing, lighten up your breath a little bit. So it's a nice, easy breath in. And there's not really any pushing in any way. And what the nose, throughout our body, nitric oxide is being produced in all the cells, but it actually is released in the sinuses, in the maxilla, in the sinuses. Now, nitric oxide is a vasodilator. So it opens up the blood vessels and it opens up our ability to breathe. And it takes the air down into the oxygen, down into our lower lungs, but it also circulates the blood full of oxygen into the whole lung. So you don't have to worry, well, I want to get the upper lung. By the nitric oxide will do that.
But something that people don't understand, and I'm sure you would get to that, but breathing, oh, hi, my cat is saying hello. Oh, so hi. Breathing is actually filtered through the lung, but it's the oxygen that feeds the brain and the blood and everything, right? But if you don't have any, it's like if you live half tank, right? When you don't fill up your lung, it's like you're living on reserve all the time, and that's so one thing that a lot of people don't realize, that it's, when we don't breathe properly and oxygenated ourselves, it's the brain doesn't get the fuel that it needs, right?
The brain and the tissues and the cells and the organs and our whole physiology. Yeah. And so there's an interesting fact that when I first heard, I thought, really? But you can breathe in a lot of oxygen, right? But the oxygen goes into the blood, right? And so it's sitting there and it's riding along in the hemoglobin, right? It's riding along. But guess what? It's got to get out of the blood. That makes sense. It's got to get out of the blood. So what allows it out of the blood into the tissues and cells and brain? As it turns out, it's carbon dioxide. Yeah? Yeah. So if you're breathing through your mouth all the time, you're getting rid of the very thing that lets the oxygen out of your blood and into your tissues and cells. It's like the blood's riding along on a bus, And it's going, okay, here we go. We're riding along. It says, okay, this is our stop. I'm going to do the liver. I'm going to get up and go to the liver. But then the blood says, hey, where's the driver? Where's the driver? And we go, oh, the driver took a break. It's not around. Who's the driver? Carbon dioxide. Oh, here comes carbon dioxide. Let's the door open. And out the little molecules go to the liver or the brain or wherever it's going. So just think that you want to keep your mouth closed because you don't want to be getting rid of the carbon dioxide. It's all a balance. It's a balance. So breathing through our mouth can create hyperventilation, which in turn can create the mucus, because you look at when you're out in the cold weather,
you get a runny nose.
You get a runny nose, and it creates mucus in the system. Right? It's like when we're out, we get cold lips and we put some chapstick on it to protect the lips. So it's kind of that idea that the body, when you're constantly breathing through your nose, it creates mucus. That's its chapstick.
Yeah, and that's one reason why too, I imagine that whenever you teach the breath, like a lot of time they say breathe in for 5 count, hold it for a certain amount of time, and then breathe out for a certain amount of time. And the hold it, that's what allows the time for the oxygen to be absorbed and to be, isn't it?
Well, actually, not really.
So why would we hold our breath then? What's the purpose?
There's different. I mean, it does kind of get into the system, into the cells, but you don't need to do that in order to release the oxygen from the blood. Is having your mouth closed, and there's a delicate line as to how you're breathing. You want to breathe light, so there's not so much air, believe it or not, and slow, so that it's an easy transition, and deep into your lower ribs and belly. So the slow, light, and deep is going to oxygenate you better than fast, light, and deep. So that process, because the carbon dioxide is interesting. It's not the blood, the oxygen that says, okay, I don't have enough oxygen in my system, therefore I've got to take a breath. Actually, it's carbon dioxide. It's talking with the medulla, which is at the brainstem, and it's saying, you need to take a breath. The brain is communicating with your diaphragm, with your mechanism, your breathing mechanism. You need to take a breath. You need to take a breath. Now, if you have a really low tolerance to carbon dioxide because you've been breathing out of your mouth a lot, and you've got a low tolerance, then you're going to always want to keep breathing out of your mouth and fast. But if you can build up that tolerance and you'd feel more comfortable, it actually builds endurance. It builds the fact that you don't want to open up your mouth so much. And you can be more relaxed when you're breathing. Because when we breathe in through the nose, it goes down into the lower lungs, and that's connected. It's all connected to the vagus nerve, right, which is in the brain again. It comes down, the vagus nerve goes into all the major organs, and it goes back up towards the brain. And it's 80% of the fibers are actually communicating back up to the brain, and it's saying, I'm really cold. I need a jacket. I'm hungry. I need to eat. I'm tired. I need to go to sleep. So the body is getting all these great messages from our feedback mechanism. And we want to have a vagus nerve, a nervous system that can communicate realistically what's going on in our bodies. And that the vagus nerve is connected with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and digest, cool, you chill, you can be more calm and grounded. And so that's really important, because if we're going to be making changes, or if we're at a meeting and just want to be cool and relaxed and be able to allow that creativity to come out, That's really important.
Mm.
Is that we have that clarity. Is the saboteur? The saboteur is more in its place, and
Yeah.
we can make those decisions better because we're feeling more relaxed and calm. If we're breathing into our upper chest, we can actually exacerbate anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Because
course. Of course. That's what you
connect
feel when you're stressed. You'll be like,
yeah,
you know,
that's
like
right.
that. The stress is like it's all here, right? And
Yeah,
then it's hard if you tell someone that's stressed out, breathe by your nose. It'll be, they can't, right? Because it's not a something that your
yeah,
brain will align stress and breathing by the nose. But one question I have for you, when you
yeah.
talk about breathing with the nose, what about like breathe in with the nose? But what about breathe out? Breathe out. Is it by the nose or by the mouth, or either one doesn't matter? Always the noise.
This guy, this guy has got so many jobs,
Yeah.
and this guy is talking, eating, drinking. So there's only like 3 jobs, but this guy here has got many jobs, and that's what it's made for. It's not just here. It's got sinuses. It's got the whole nasal
Mhm.
cavity, and it's got many jobs to do to allow our health to be normal rather than exacerbated, because we can create issues by breathing through our mouth on an
Mm.
ongoing basis. So,
So
for
talking
instance,
about, okay, go ahead. Give your example. Yeah.
if you're going for a walk,
Yeah.
do that with your mouth closed. Now,
Mm.
you may say, "Oh, I already do," but take a look.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look and say, "Oh, I'm just going up this hill. Oh, I want to open up my mouth,"
Mm-hmm.
and close your mouth and notice whether you need to actually slow down, because maybe you need to slow down so that over time, and it doesn't take very long at all, you can build up that tolerance to the carbon dioxide. Because what
Mm.
happens is the brain, if you're constantly getting rid of the carbon dioxide, well, it reduces down the thermometer, and so then you're breathing a lot more out of your mouth. So as you build up that tolerance, it resets itself back to a
Mm.
normal place. So don't underestimate the breath.
Mm. I was
Really,
seeing the image of, you say put breathe by the nose when you go for a walk. I was imagining putting duct tape on my mouth
you
while
can.
going for a walk, you know.
Maybe not duct tape.
I know. And then people looking at you was like, are you okay?
Well, there are some people that while they're trying to get
The
that
training, yeah.
training, they'll just put some tape on their mouth to remind them.
Yeah, yeah, I can see
Um,
that.
it's so just you go for a walk and just be kind to yourself, and then go, oh, that's really interesting. Okay, like for instance, if you go for a walk with your friends
Mm-hmm.
and you want to talk, well,
Of
guess what?
course.
And like I'm talking a lot, so I'm getting rid of my carbon dioxide. Afterwards, I'll do some breathing exercises to neutralize that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, and some people even, and we won't go into this very much because it's well, you can even tape your mouth at night, but you want to do it slowly, because
Oh,
if you're feeling a little claustrophobic, then you just want to do it really
I'm
gentle. But
curious though. You
think,
just brought something. It's not. We're not supposed to talk about that, but talk about me. At night, I often, especially if I sleep on my back, I notice like my mouth would open, and then I breathe with the mouth, and I woke up. I wake up, and my mouth is super dry.
yeah,
So what
yeah.
does how is that? How does that affect my sleep?
Well, think about it. You're breathing into your upper chest. You ever wake
Yeah.
up and you kind of feel, if you really tune in, you feel maybe a little hyper. Not, I mean, it's just it's an underlying core of that, or you're feeling dry,
Dry,
and
definitely dry. Because if I breathe
yeah,
with my mouth, then
yeah,
it all, I
yeah,
feel like, like I
yeah.
need to
And
drink water.
there could also be sleep apnea from that, because then where we normally want to be with our tongue is at the roof of the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's parked there.
Yeah.
And then if we've got our mouth open, and
Yeah. Yeah.
the tongue is back, and guess where it goes? Oh, right back.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
then it closes off the airway, and then you wake up.
And often people will snore. I can't say whether I snore or not because I sleep on my own. My cat doesn't complain, but
He likes it. It's like another purr.
like another purr. I don't know if I snore or not. But anyway, let's go back to our topic.
Yes.
But you were talking earlier as when people don't breathe properly, and it's, and also like they can get, develop disease and stuff like that, right? Because we don't have the proper amount of oxygen. But as we go through this world transition of especially wearing a mask and everything, so how can good breath can help?
Well, let's look at what you just said about the mask. You could look at the mask as a way to retain the carbon dioxide. Now, if you have a really low tolerance to carbon dioxide, you may feel, I can't have my mask on. Well, it's making a statement. It's saying you don't have a very good tolerance to carbon dioxide, and you could do something about it. Just slow down. It's saying slow down. So slow down to improve that tolerance over time. It's not going to come like tomorrow, but you can look at, you know what, this mask isn't such a bad thing. I'm going to put it on, and I'm actually going to judge how I feel. And if and notice over the next couple of weeks that, oh, you know what, it's actually okay. It's okay now. So look at the mask as a possibility. But so if you're feeling that you can't wear the mask, that's probably because you have a very low tolerance to carbon dioxide.
But that brought another question to me. They always say, like they is generic, but I've taken different courses on meditation and this and that, and they say breathe deeply and breathe out with the mouth and eliminate that carbon dioxide. So why there's two philosophy there? You teach that yes, you want to keep that carbon dioxide inside your body, but then there's another philosophy that says you want to eliminate it. You want to clear your lung and breathe in, breathe out, and breathe with your mouth. So where does that come from? What's the difference?
You know what? I don't know. I was asking that question because in my training and all my years, it was never about out the mouth. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing about breathing in and breathing out through the mouth. And I'm going, well, why would you want to breathe? But there are breathing techniques where it's about emotional release. But you're breathing for long periods of time, and it's like you're hyperventilating.
Yeah,
I do not go that route. I would rather use my breath in a way that if I'm going to be doing some inner work, I'm attuning to the inner work and coming to stillness. Just like what you're talking about is that stillness, that silence. And feeling the body, if there's and asking the questions, but feeling the body and going into because there's something called body feeling where you feel the emotion wherever it is. And if you really stay with it and zero in on it, you can actually transcend it. So there's different methods. I used to teach the big breath, but I don't now. It doesn't mean that I don't do inhales and holds and exhales and holds. That doesn't mean that. But there was a lot of the other breaths that I was going, oh, I love this, right? I love it. And then when I came across the Buteyko technique and my teachers, Patrick McEwen and Robin Rothenberg, it just blew my mind. I thought, oh my gosh, I've been teaching these people all these big breaths, and there's so much more to the breath in terms of chemistry, body chemistry. I said, I'm not going to teach the breath if somebody's going to do that on an ongoing basis and actually create hyperventilation. I don't know if they create hyperventilation, but just. Is that your kitty?
Yeah, it's my. He lost his brother about a month and a half ago. Yeah, he needs love. He's been very lonely. Let me say hi to my kitty. That's my cat Tiger. and he's been very lonely since his brother passed away
Oh
about 2 months
no.
ago, and
Oh,
he needs more attention than ever.
oh yes. Yes, you
So
might
he'll be
need a
on
new
me and
cat.
he'll be quiet after a second or two. He just say, "Thanks for picking me up, mommy. I
Yeah,
love
no,
you."
thanks. Thanks for doing that. I got to see it too.
Yeah,
So the
he's
breath.
it's amazing. I never thought, talking about, like when you lose someone, and as human, then we have, okay, he's like the cat's gone, and I'm sad, and I miss him, but I'm not crying over him every day because I
Right.
have reasoning, right? Like I
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
like stabilizing myself, and there's some point. But animals, like you hear of animals losing either they're human or losing, like he lost his brother, like they were
Yeah.
born together, they
Yeah.
lived together close by,
Yeah.
for 15 years, and somehow he's been more crying, he's been more, like attentive, and we're off topic, but maybe
How old is he?
15.
Okay, I was gonna say get him a kitty.
No, not for now. I
Okay.
have other plans in mind, but
Yeah,
if
okay.
I get another pet, then it's another thing to take
Yes.
care of for a
Yes,
long
it's another lifetime.
Yeah, it's another lifetime. So we'll pass on that for now. But so for the breath, like, do you have any tips for us? What are some tips that you could give us that can assist us moving forward into our breathing life? Because we all breathe, we can't help it. So a few tips that can really help us. Besides, you gave us a few already. Like, think of breathing by the nose,
Yeah.
breathing with the lower lungs, and breathing out through the nose. And if you feel uncomfortable wearing a mask, wear it more often, because maybe you need to build
There's other
your
exercises to
tolerance
do
to.
that. Yeah. There's other exercises that you can do to build up the carbon dioxide
Yeah,
that's not out and about with meth, but you could do
yeah.
that. Um,
And so, any other tips before we start to conclude?
well, you've got it. It's the nose, and there's something called LSD. We're going to take some LSD.
Ooh, never tried that. Not that I'm interested, really. Don't know.
No, right? Light, slow, and deep. So a lot of people think, okay, you say to somebody, take a deep breath, and they go, right? So they've just opened their mouth and they go right up into their upper chest.
Yeah.
So when you say LSD, light, slow, and deep, it's light breath, slow, and deep. Deep into the lower.
In the diaphragm. Yeah.
Diaphragms. And you'll notice that when you breathe through your nose, that it's a narrower passageway, so it takes longer for the air to get down into the lungs.
Yeah.
So that alone, where you've got a big throat that's open versus the upper chest. This is not like you should never breathe from your upper chest. That's not what we're saying. But functionally, you want to look at, on an ongoing basis, since I'm breathing 24/7, what can I do to enhance my health? So that I don't create problems. So that when I want to enliven that creativity, what can I do? Well, there's a subtle breath where you sit, and you sit tall. We can go into a little exercise if you like.
Sure. I might have to get the kitty down. Poor kitty boy. Let me put you on the chair right there. Go on the chair.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on my lap.
I know. He's funny. Okay. I'm sitting tall.
Okay. So sit tall, and you've got your shoulders relaxed, and the top of the back of the head is lifting. So you feel like you're already opening up, but there is space between the sternum and the lower belly. So you're feeling enlivened. And then just check into the breath and breathing in through your nose. Nice, light, just following it, being mindful. And then feeling your lower ribs gently bend out to the side, and your belly relaxes. Yeah. And then on the exhale, just nice and lightly bring the rib cage in and the abdominals in towards the spine. a nice soft transition from the inhalation to the exhalation. Not trying to get more air in, it's just whatever it is. It's more about being easy, relaxing the belly, slow, nice and slow. And now see if you can lighten the inhale and exhale a little bit. And you can put your finger underneath your nose and feel the air coming onto your finger. And then see if you can just lighten it up a bit. Almost so that the fine hairs in your nostrils don't move. The yogis say that a healthy breath is one that is nasal, diaphragmatic, light, easy, and it's like the fine hairs in your nostrils don't move. That creates longevity because you may be noticing that there's maybe a little saliva in the mouth. Do you feel a bit more? Or maybe you felt warm. We just did a moment or two.
Yeah.
That's oxygenation. That's your body. That's the carbon dioxide getting out of the blood and into the physiology and warming us up. So you don't need a lot of air. You need it efficiently. And then you feel more relaxed, right? Very, very relaxed. At any time, like if you feel like I'm rushing out and oh my gosh, I forgot my meeting. I forgot my Zoom meeting and I've got to do this and do that before I get my Zoom meeting. And then you go, and just go check into the breath. And even while you're doing things, you can have a mindful awareness of your breath being more settled. Because I bet you if you check in, your breath is going all over and you're probably breathing through your mouth.
Most likely, because it's a situation of stress. So in any situation of stress, we lose, like we go, oh my God, I gotta do this, gotta do that, and but also in any situation where we develop awareness, whether it's awareness of our breath, we can't help it but to slow down.
That's right.
Because when you become aware of it, or any situation, if you become aware that you're stressed, well, you'll be less stressed than if you don't know you're stressed, right? Because
one really great point is you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to your computer.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the gym or you don't have to go to a meeting. You're already there. So it's something where it's like a technique all the time. If you want, you can just become more and more and more aware.
Yeah. And I feel that for example, if people are in any situation, like whether they have difficult relationship and they feel threatened verbally or physically, hopefully not, but like they're there and they're in confrontation, and it's like you don't need to do anything. You just like close your mouth. First of all, by closing your mouth, you will not say things you shouldn't say. So close your mouth and concentrate on your breath, right? And about what you just said, that's what I get from that, is that by breathing, be aware of your breathing, and be conscious of your breathing. And the level of stress will go like
right down.
Because it's just awareness. Every time you take a moment, take a step back, center your breath, center yourself, become more peaceful, aware, then you can't be stressed out when you live in awareness.
That's right. And that's a really important point, is that you can be in both places at once. You can be very, very present for whoever you're talking with.
Yeah.
And also have a sense of your breath, because it will allow you to be present.
Yeah.
And also to react in a way where it's more intelligence, like your innate intelligence comes out more at a more, I was going to say holistic, but it's at a level that's more compassionate. If there's kind of a heated, and you can see the reality of what is really going on more clearly.
Yeah, and that's one of the exercise. We have several type of exercise with positive intelligence and mental fitness, but one of them is the breath, because it's essential. And for me, my go-to is the breath. Like, we have a whole bunch of exercise that we can do, but my go-to is the breath, because I feel like it connect me right away. As soon as like if I feel like I'm scattered, like you're saying, right? Oh my God, I got so much to do and I have to do. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Then I do that. I do it like 4 or 5 times, and consciously. It doesn't take much, a minute, right? How many breaths are we taking in a minute? Maybe 4 or 5. Do it, and then I just breathe in, breathe out, and right away I feel like, it's like everything stopped. It's almost like the Matrix, right? Where the guy goes. I feel like that. Yeah, exactly. I feel like it takes me right to the now, right back here, and it allows me to, okay, what's the most important thing I need to do right now? If I feel like I have so much to do, I don't know what to do, and okay, just take a break, breathe back. And that's one thing that I felt very connected with you when we had our chat a little back, and that's why I invited you here, because I feel that it's such an important skill. And we can call that a skill, because most people don't know how to breathe, right? It's a skill to develop. It's like hearing, right? Like, people can hear stuff, but some people have a better acuity on hearing music, for example, right? The note, they can know, oh, this is a whatever you call that in English, but do, re, mi, fa, sol, right? Like
the scale.
Whatever. You can hear different scale and different arrangement. And some people are very skilled to that, because first of all, they might have been something they were good at to start with, but they have developed that. And that's what one thing with the breath, because we all come with the breath. That's the first thing we do in the room. We take a big cry, and it's like, and then we start breathing. But nobody teach us how to breathe. We just assume that, well, you do it naturally, and it's something that's really important, but we don't do it. So this is why I appreciate you. And what I will do, because you gave me the link and information on how people can contact you. So I will put that in the chat underneath our video. So whenever you see the video, go in the chat underneath, and this will go on YouTube too. And that will be in the comments, see more at the bottom, so people will be able to contact you there. And I feel that you all think that breathing, I don't need to learn how to breathe.
Yeah.
Well, look at your level, your quality of life. Look at your health. Look at your stress level. If your stress level is always here and there's a lot going on, and you say, well, that keeps me alive, and that's you can be here and be active and still be. You don't need to be like a Zen monk. Doesn't mean that's not what that Deborah was saying, and it's not what I'm saying. You can be super active and efficient and vibrant without the stress and without breathing like a maniac, right?
Absolutely. And when you're exercising or when you're doing anything, even running, see if you can run with your mouth closed. In the beginning, it may be very hard. So now this is the real ego buster. Can you run slower and build up that tolerance so that you can have even more endurance and more energy and run the same or more with your mouth closed? I mean, you get to a point where it's anaerobic, and then you do need to open your mouth, but it gets to that point, and it's like it's a whole new education program. And we've had it for so long, we just do take it for granted, and we don't think about it. That's what you were saying before, and that's so true. We breathe 20 to 30,000 breaths a day. And really, we should go more on the lighter side. You want to breathe lighter, slower, and deeper. And preserve the breath. And then you'll notice that when you're making decisions, you'll notice when you sit even to meditate, or you sit to knit, or you do anything, you're much calmer when you do it, because there's so many facets of it's connecting you to your to that parasympathetic nervous system, but also to yourself, that inner self. And we're going through such a fascinating time right now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I invite people to look at this fascinating time as a wonderful opportunity for us all to get together and do what we can to better ourselves, to better others, to help us make this transformation and transition into a new era. It's all around us. Everybody's saying it. It's not new.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll just go on with my day. All you can do, start first, is with yourself, and with
Of
can do
course.
that with your breath.
Of course. And that's how we started, right? Like it's
Mhm.
the introduction is, if you want to change the world, you have to change yourself first.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it. Like one of my mission is to change the world one person at a time. So every single
Yes.
person that I meet, I want to influence them so that they will go away from being around me and go spread whatever I was able to spray on them, like little fairy,
Yeah.
little fairy dust that as they walk along, the fairy dust goes to other people and being spread around the planet. So we
I love
hopefully
it.
will spread a lot of fairy dust today with all the people. And thank you so much,
Oh, this has
Deborah.
been great. This
It
is
was an
great.
amazing pleasure to get to
Great.
know you more and
Yeah.
to have this
Come visit my
conversation with
website.
you.
Go to my YouTubes and I'm on
Yes, I will
LinkedIn,
post
on
all that. Yeah,
Facebook, and
I have your
Instagram. Yeah. Yeah.
your website, Facebook,
Great.
LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. So I
Yeah.
will share all of that with people in 5
And
minutes.
connect with me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Don't be shy to
Yeah.
connect with her. She's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much. And next week I have episode number 16 with Lenore Rattray. So don't forget to come here 12 o'clock next week, every Monday at 12 o'clock Pacific time, because I don't know where you're watching from. You could be watching very early in Australia or very late in
Mhm.
or England, but you're welcome to watch. And I'm super happy that you're here. And until next time, be kind to one another. Goodbye.
Bye.